Hello everyone, welcome to today's session on fostering collaboration, curation and engagement with Totara Engage, or an introduction to Totara Engage. I want to say welcome to everyone that is joining and has joined. I can see the participants number is creeping up a little bit, and I want to say hello to my fabulous co-host, Matt Lineker. Hi Matt.
Hi Meredith, and hi to everyone who's just joining at the moment.
Alrighty, so we've got a few people joining. I can see that the numbers creeping up, and I am so very much on time. So what I'm going to start with is just run a very quick poll. It is entirely anonymous, so please do be honest. I just want to get a feel for who I'm speaking to today, and that might help me shape my presentation a little bit in terms of how much detail I go into particular areas. So I'm just going to launch that poll, and as you, if you wish to respond, please do. As I say, that it's entirely anonymous, so please do be honest. So let me know if you perhaps are currently a Totara Learn or Totara Social subscriber, whether you might not be already using a Totara Learn product and will be looking for a new learner experience platform, whether you maybe are using an LXP now and are considering a change. Maybe you're working for a competing LXP company and you're doing a little bit of recon by attending today's session, which is perfectly fine. Whether you are one of our Totara partners, whether you are a member of the Totara learning team and here to support your best buddy Meredith, for example, or if I haven't come up with a particular response that suits you and you're none of the above. So we'll just run it for a couple more seconds. It looks like a good number of you have voted. And I do appreciate time. It looks like the majority of the people that are on the call today are in fact existing Totara Learn or Totara Social users. So welcome to you and welcome to everyone that's joining us today. Alrighty, let's close that off. Thank you very much for everyone who responded. Okay, let's close that down. Right, so let's make a start. So today's session will be a mix of a couple of slides, and mostly those are kind of placeholders. So if you are perhaps watching this as a recording after the fact, you can skip through to the right section and a summary of what I'll be talking about. But predominantly I'll be moving over to a live demonstration and showing you the features and functionality that sit within Totara Engage. Questions are very much welcome. If you can, please use the Q&A functionality within Zoom. It means we get an entry for every question, so we're able to easily tick off every question as they're answered. And because we might not get to all the questions today, whether we run out of time or whether I don't know the answer because it's a technical question, I'll be going back through all of these Q&A reports to see the questions that I've answered and not answered, and then providing a follow-up in the Totara community and the discussion forums afterwards. So Matt Lineker is joining me today. He's here to keep me on time, which is more or less an impossible task, it seems, but also to help out in the chat. So he's keeping an eye on you guys in the chat to make sure that you're getting the links that you need, and he'll be feeding me those questions, whether you post them in the Q&A or the chat. Now, a reminder that today's session is being recorded. We are recording it so you can watch again, or you can share with your friends, colleague and family as you like. And that will be available in the Totara community, which if you're not a current Totara user is a site that you can join absolutely for free. And not only will you get the benefit of the recording and the questions that I didn't get through today, there are a range of resources, including the Totara Academy there. And Matt's very closely aligned with the Totara Academy and will be posting links to some of the great courses that the Academy team have been developing across Totara Engage. So to start with, the first thing I want to do is play a very quick video. I promise you it's super quick. It's 1 minute 50 seconds. And this will just give you an overview of what Totara Engage is, because it's not always very clear to everyone necessarily what an LXP is. So let me press play.
Formal learning plays a pivotal role in your overall learning experience. But your people learn better at the point of need when skills and knowledge are put to practice. Smart organizations know that learning is a fluid process occurring through multiple daily experiences. But using social learning and collaborative workspaces to make learning more effective can be challenging. With Totara Engage, you can easily collaborate to solve complex problems and access the information you need exactly when you need it. Totara Engage is the learning experience platform that engages your workforce for higher performance and shortens learning curves with personalized playlists and custom resources that are curated from multiple channels and delivered on any device. Integrate Totara Engage with tools like Microsoft Teams, Totara Learn, and Totara Perform to efficiently overcome individual or department-wide challenges without disrupting workflows. Set up workspaces organized by project, topic, or department to collaborate and share expertise. Build a connected culture and unlock knowledge sharing throughout your organization to boost engagement. What's more, by combining Totara Engage, Totara Learn, and Totara Perform, you'll benefit from an integrated talent experience platform that empowers your people to align with your company goals and perform at their best. Visit totaralearning.com or talk to a Totara partner to see how Totara Engage unites, upskills, and engages your workforce for higher performance in your new world of work.
Excellent. So I told you it was going to be quick. So based on that, and again, just a very quick poll, just to see how you guys feel about, well, that's not the poll that I wanted to share. Poll number 2 is around learner experience platforms. Not everyone knows what an LXP is, and I would just be interested if you would feel comfortable describing what an LXP is to someone. Again, anonymous poll. I won't, I don't know who you are. I'm just really interested in the results. So I should say that video, the video for Engage, Totara Perform, and Totara Learn, as well as the Talent Experience platform, are available on our YouTube channel if you want to watch that again. And for if the question in the chat is which one am I in there, I'm the woman scratching her arm right at the very end. Very briefly, you can see me in that video. Okay, I think we will end the poll there. We've got quite a good, interesting split. So we've got around 36% would be happy to describe what an LXP is to someone, and the majority though is 64% with not so much. So that is fascinating. Thank you very much for sharing. So let's move on to the next slide. So this means that at least for 64% of you, this following slide, even though it is a lot of words on screen, will hopefully make you a little bit more comfortable with the concept of a learner experience platform. So what is an LXP? So looking across the definitions from various industry analysts, as well as other LXP providers, there's actually a really surprising level of consensus about what is an LXP. So I've collected here some of the common parts of the definition. So it supports self-driven, ongoing and social learning. It provides a mechanism for the discovery of new learning opportunities. It supports social interaction between peers, colleagues, subject matter experts, mentors, etc. It allows the curation or collection of content. It creates and supports a culture of sharing and collaboration. It's user-driven and provides a personalized experience and allows for the discovery of new content, both at the point of need, as well as supporting a particular need. And content is often targeted by recommendations, often by machine learning. So think of this in contrast to a learning management system, which organizes and delivers formal instructor-led or compliance-based training, which is typically created and driven by learning and development staff, subject matter experts, HR, whoever. They are quite different learning experiences. Of course, together they create quite an interesting and complex learning delivery structure. So now we know what an LXP is, well, or closer to understanding why an LXP. So investing in employee engagement will increase productivity, work quality, and help retain your top talent. Employees who are engaged and work collaboratively deliver higher quality work and are more productive. Even better, engaged employees are happier both at work and in their lives. So when researching LXPs, social learning and engagement tools, we identified 6 key pillars of engagement and motivation, and Totara Engage has been developed against these 6 pillars. So think of these as categories of functionality that one needs in a system to create and maintain user and learner engagement and motivation. So let's very quickly go through these. I don't want to labor on them, but what I want to do is allow you to note each of these, understand what we mean by each of these different 6 pillars. And so when we flick to the demo, which I promise you is in just a minute, you'll be able to connect these or match these pillars to the functionality that we'll see across Totara Engage. So first off is discovery, and this is about reducing the time and barriers to find relevant content. Barriers include too much content, the wrong content through irrelevant search results, but also not knowing what you don't know. And you'll see this across the catalog search and across the personalized recommendations within Engage. Next up is curation, and this is the management and collection of meaningful information. And this you'll see within playlists across Engage. There's now also recognition. So this is about recognizing the efforts, knowledge, and collaborative behavior of staff and learners. You'll see this through comments and likes and shares, as well as ratings on items through the content engagement reporting within playlists and individual resources and workspaces. Collaboration's up next, and this is the sharing of information and knowledge, which can therefore improve efficiency. And this is achieved through workspaces and the discussions and library of resources they host. Next one, integration, is pretty self-explanatory, but this is by connecting Engage to other systems that you're already perhaps using within your organization to share information. It can prevent the disruption to an individual's work and offer timely and relevant learning in the flow of work. And finally, reporting, probably the most self-explanatory. Tying this all together, we've got to be able to collect and track all of these engagement points and contributions in order to learn, improve, and to recognize engagement and these motivation points, as well as to recognize and reward individuals for their participation and collaboration. So I'm going to jump into the demo in just a second. This is just very much a summary slide of what we're going to cover today. And the next slide is just to let you know that underpinning all of this functionality, there's a range of configuration options and support functionality. So I am showing you going to be logged in as a learner for the majority of this demonstration, but I will flick over to administrator and I will be able to answer some questions at various points through today's session. So again, very much placeholder slide. So let's flick over to Lisa Learner here. I want to double check that I am logged in because she does like logging herself out. So this is Totara Engage. More specifically, this is the Totara Talent Experience platform. This is a site that is actually running Totara Learn, Totara Engage, and Totara Perform. For those of you that might have already been using any of these systems, you'll recognize some of the navigation along the top. But for the purposes of today, I'll be calling out functionality that's only available in Engage, ignoring things like Develop, which is specific to Totara Perform, and highlighting the touch points between Totara Learn and Totara Engage. So, social learning. What does Totara Engage offer to improve and support social learning? And this is primarily through peer-created and curated content, which offers informal learning opportunities, intentional and unintentional learning, and support for self-directed learning. And this sits here within a dedicated area called your library. So this here is a library of all the resources that you yourself have created, resources that have been shared with you, and any resources that you've viewed and perhaps to which you have access that you want to bookmark and save, maybe to read later or because they're particularly relevant to you. And I'll be talking about playlists in just a second. So let's have a look at creating some content here. So there's 2 different types of resources that you can create. The first is just called resource, where you would give something a title, and you can add content here as you like. And we've got a variety of editing options. So you can have headings and subheadings. You can do some basic formatting. And as well as embedding links and attachments, you've got some nice emojis here to insert as well. Excellent, unicorn, perfect. And you can also embed media here. So you can embed images, videos, sound, whatever. So you can create some very robust resources just using the basic HTML editor here. It could be your own content. It could be content that you're leveraging from an external course or an external resource or area from a website. The other type of resource that you can create is a survey, and these are kind of quick pulse surveys. So you can create these as single answer or multiple answer. And you can add as many options as you like, I think up to a certain limit. I think it's about 5, which otherwise it's not really a pulse survey, it's more of a poll. And so you can have a couple of different answers here and create a survey as you like. And noting that if you change your mind, you can delete those answers. When you create a survey, for example, you can choose who to share it with. It could be only to you, it could be to limited people. So you can browse through the list of individuals within the site. That's right. Or you can share with workspaces, and we'll be covering off workspaces in just a moment. But we can add a number of individuals. Alternatively, we could share with everyone, and we can, if we share it with everyone, then it will appear in the shared with you area, as well as anything that's been specifically limited to you. And in order for people to find this content, we will assign one or many topics to this. And these are essentially tags across the system. And this is a way of collecting content together for users to be able to search across content, and for the recommendations engine, which I will be talking about towards the end of today's session, how can curate and collect recommendations to you. So I have now created that new survey, and it now sits within my resources. And from here, I can see that this is shared with everyone because of this icon here. If it was limited people, there'd be a little person icon. If it was private, there would be a different icon again. And you'll notice down the bottom here, we've got a range of different icons. In fact, what I would do is quickly create another standard resource. So you can, again, see what the options are. And when you create a more of a written versus a survey resource, you can specify how long the learning or the article might take to read. And if you identify it as taking less than 5 minutes, it feeds into the recommendations engine as a piece of micro-learning. And individuals, again, can search across these resources based on the time it takes an individual to read it. And again, you can create topics. And these topics are created by the site administrator, and you can create new topics, you can edit topics, you can have as many or as few as you like. So now that we have an additional resource here, and I can upload a custom image here. I've just got the default, and you can in fact select what the default image here. And we've just got this Totara branded image at this point. Now, by creating content, individuals can receive a reward and recognition for their contributions and involvement through likes and shares and ratings on both resources and playlists, which we're going to be moving on to a second. And you can see from these icons along the bottom here, how many likes, how many discussions have been or comments have been made on these items, whether they've been shared, and to how many playlists do they belong. So let's move on to playlists. So a playlist is a collection of resources, whether they be the written resources or the media-based resources or the pulse surveys. And you can have any number of resources in a playlist. And this here is one playlist here, which has 8 resources, and I can add new ones as I like. So I can create ad hoc resources directly into the playlist, or I can select from an existing resource. And these existing resources are anything that you have created, such as the placeholder that we just created. as well as any resource, whether it be a resource or a survey to which you have access. You can see that the visibility here is to everyone. So I could add these items very quickly to a playlist. And noting, because it is a playlist, it's a suggested order that you move through these items. You can move and drag and drop these items around, so you can change the order in which someone may approach this content or review this particular playlist. Right, so social learning, what problems that social learning addresses, or short or diverted, why social learning? It could be that you're addressing a lack of employee engagement. It could be a resistance to formal or structured learning. It also addresses things like missed learning opportunities, that I don't know what I don't know, or I didn't know I wanted to know that situation. It also prevents the blockers, or limits the blockers from learning from your peers. Your peers hold a lot of value and information and insights, and tapping into a way that's timely and convenient and non-disruptive for everyone is key to collaboration and engagement. Oh, there we go. In addition, it can be an interruption to what we call the flow of work. If you have to jump between systems and maybe move from one system to another system, which has a different process for creating content. So this is some of the advantages and some of the problems that social learning can address. So I'm going to move on to playlists, and then I'll take questions across. We'll go into the playlists slide rather. So some of the benefits of playlist is organizing information that's all around the place in different areas, whether it be on your site or from external resources or other systems that you might use. It can be used to group related information. So the two are very much the same purpose. And you can support different groups with different learning requirements and conveniently and efficiently leverage that internal expertise, which almost certainly sits within your organization. And both creators and consumers of playlists can benefit by creating content and sharing content. So it adds value to existing content by building it into meaningful playlists. They're sharing their knowledge, and you're leveraging theirs and other subject matter expertise. And they also offer content in context. So having one item sitting by itself might not have as much value as many related items sitting together within a playlist. So I'm going to now just shift to the catalogue while Matt throws some questions to me.
Meredith, I'm trying to answer them as we go, but
wow,
some of the questions that we've got request people to show things.
Mm-hmm.
So David's asking if you can show how someone would see when they've had something shared with them. So for example, like a notification, if you get a survey request, or if you get a mention on a workspace, for example, what does a notification look like?
Right.
If that's possible to show.
Yep, so here you can choose how you receive those notifications. So it uses the existing Totara notifications process, and you can choose whether you receive an email, whether it goes to your notifications like we see here, or whether you get it in your tasks and alerts area from your dashboard, or a combination of all of those items. You can also have these notifications pushed to your Microsoft Teams integration, which I'll be talking about in a moment. And yeah, you've got the option here. So in terms of just to clarify around survey requests, it's a sort of voluntary survey. People don't have to fill it out, and there's no necessary record that you have or have not completed a survey. Just to be clear, it's just an optional pulse survey. But yeah, here are some notifications that a new playlist has been shared to my workspace, for example, and you would see a similar notification if your playlist had been shared, or there had been a comment on your playlist or in a workspace. So yeah, through the notification system.
Thanks, Meredith. Another question would be, can admins reduce access to who can share with everyone? So for example, if you go to create a new resource and there you have the option to share with everyone, is it possible to reduce that so that people can't share with everyone?
I would have to double check the permissions on that. I think that sits as the default, but let me confirm that. Certainly there are restrictions around tenancy. The multi-tenancy that we've worked that sits across all of the Totara products does have implications and touch points across Totara Engage. So being able to share content will be within your tenant. Being able to create workspaces and add individuals will be individuals within your tenant. So there are some restrictions across that, but I'll provide a more comprehensive answer and see where you can adjust that, or perhaps some screenshots of where that can be adjusted if you can across permissions after this session.
You can also create private workspaces as well, can't you? Which is a good thing. So you can share just private resources in there as well.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so you can limit by only doing it through workspaces.
A question from Dave asking, can there be subtopics to create a hierarchy? Sorry, can there be subtopics to create a hierarchy of topics?
No, topics are just at one level. Yeah. But you can create any number of topics as you like. Okay, I'm going to push on to the catalogue very quickly and then move on to workspaces. So if we didn't get to your question, we might at the next break. So what I want to very quickly show you is we've created these resources, we've created these playlists. How do people find them? So obviously they get a notification. Thanks very much for the question, David. If they receive, if you've shared a resource or a playlist with them. But one of those pillars that we were talking about before is discovery. How do you find this content? And one of the ways is through the Find Learning catalog or the Learning catalog. So for those that are using Totara Learn, you'll be familiar with this catalogue, and this is available across Totara Engage as well. And you'll have courses, playlists, and resources appear in your Engage catalogue if you're only using Totara Engage. But if you're using both Totara Learn and Engage, then you see all 5 options here. And you can filter just like you would with any of these other types of learning using the filter option. So I can see all the different resources. And again, all of the same configuration options around the course catalog that you're used to across Totara Learn apply across Totara Engage. So you can tailor the amount of information that is or isn't displayed within these tiles. You can have different icons showing different items. And you can very much not just filter this content by items, you can filter by the topics that we've created, as well as the time to read. So we can find the items that we just created very quickly, as well as these custom images. And we can also search across items here. So home, here we go. So you can also find both playlists and resources using the catalog search. Okay, so moving on. Let's go to the next slide, collaborative workspaces. So just to bring that up for a second. So workspaces are one of the ways that Totara Engage fosters and supports a collaborative learning and working environment. And you can have both private and public workspaces, and they solve a couple of problems for organizations. So they can support and prevent perhaps poor collaboration. They can stimulate the collaboration, foster collaboration across your organization. So it can use it to improve communication, whether that be poor communication, too much or too little communication, and maybe information that's being stored within silos, so project teams or department teams might not be widely sharing information when they should be or could be, and maybe don't even have a public or private project space to work together in a collaborative way on shared items. So let's take a look at workspaces here in Totara Engage, and they sit here under the Collaborate menu item. So a workspace, as I said, is a public or a private space where any number of individuals or members can join together to have discussion, to share content through a library, and to just generally collaborate and discuss items as you like. So this is an example of a workspace that Lisa has created. And as you scroll down here, you can see that there has been some discussion. People are sharing additional items within this discussion forum. I can do comments, I can do replies and likes, and all of these likes will be feed into reporting, which I'm going to cover off next. So if people are acting in a collaborative way within a collaborative environment, they can be recognized for that. There are likes and there are comments, and in addition, the resources that you create can also be rated. So we have likes and ratings across resources and playlists, both individually as well as within workspaces. So we can build content together, share it, receive feedback on it, get rated on it as you like. So if a particular project team were working on something and had a draft proposal, you could post it here as a resource, and the individual team project team leaders can review and provide comment and suggestions in this dedicated space. Now, if you want to see who is a member of your workspace, we have a separate tab for members. And what's interesting on this page is that this information here, this short view, is configurable. And this is something that's available across the core product. So you can change this. And this is called the profile summary card. So you can show as little or as much information here in these profile cards as you like. Currently, it's name, email address, and country. But you can have up to 4 different pieces of information displayed here, which you can choose from, whether it be one of the standard profile areas or a custom profile field if you're feeling fancy. So why have we developed workspaces? So besides the problems that we've gone through that they might solve, engaged and connected teams are more productive, deliver results faster, and in a much more efficient way. And Totara Engage helps teams collaborate efficiently so they can share and curate vital information at the point of need. And we can ensure that that content is appropriate and is valid and correct and appropriate via those ratings and those likes, but also reporting of inappropriate content, whether that be offensive content or content that doesn't belong in that particular context. So that is a beautiful segue to talk a little bit more about reporting. So there are a range of reports across Totara Engage. So there are a number of different and new report sources that are available, and let's go through a couple of those now. In fact, why don't we just stop that random scan? We don't need to see that. Okay, so I'm going to log out as Lisa Luna and log in as an administrator so that you can see these reports. Right. So the report builder, for those that haven't seen my presentations on Totara Learn, has seen a massive overhaul. So the reports page here looks great. If you haven't seen it for Totara Learn 13, this is no surprise. This may be a surprise rather, but it's available across Learn, Perform, and Engage. This is one of the core features. And if I go to create a report here and filter down by the different items that are relevant to Engage, that includes content engagement, so whether people are viewing and liking and commenting on content, the inappropriate content report, which I touched on a moment ago, topics, so what topics you have and how widely they're used, and user engagement, and actually, I think that's the list. Oh no, user-generated content. So you can also see what content people are creating across the site versus maybe if you're using Learn as well, the formal courses that you create. So content engagement, user-generated content, workspaces, topics and topics usage, and inappropriate content. And to generate a report very quickly, we click on the tile and we can create and view. And this will very quickly, there we go, once you actually press the button, Meredith, create, there we go, create a a report of all of the content within the site, who created it, and how many playlists it's been added to, how many likes it's received, the comments posted against it, how many times it has been shared, which workspaces or how many workspaces it's been associated with or added to the library, and the views of it. And this reporting is important so you can reward and recognize contributions, so you can identify those subject matter experts, those thought leaders within your organization, and maybe engage in them in a more formal way around sharing information, or simply just encourage them by saying thanks for sharing this content. So there's a really robust reporting across the system, across Totara Engage, so you can identify not just people that are collaborating and communicating and sharing, but the way that people are doing those things. Okay, next up is the recommendations. So we've got a recommendations engine within the system. It is highly configurable, so you've got a lot of options about how you use it and how it works, and it's based across some sophisticated machine learning. So I'll show you what that looks like. There's a couple of areas that recommendations works across. So you've got sort of two manifestations, I guess, of where recommendations display. So this is a dashboard. I'm logged in as the administrated user, but I'm still offered recommendations. There'd be trending would certainly be it's the same as what Lisa would see. And we've got 4 different types of recommendations. And these recommendations can be added as blocks, and that block can be configured to display 4 different ways. So you can have 4 recommendation blocks, each showing different information. But right now we're just seeing the trending option. So the 4 types are trending, which is content that people are accessing. So all of the things that I've just clicked on today are going to feed in to the trending report. And that's for both resources and playlists. So for example, where's my mouse gone? Oh, where's my screen gone? More importantly. All right. That was exciting. So this here, for example, is a playlist. We can see that there's 11 resources that sit within this playlist. And we can also have a micro-learning block, a recommendation block, and that will show items that have been marked as taking less than 5 minutes to complete or to read. We also have recommendations for courses that an individual might be interested in, and workspaces that an individual might be interested in. And the recommendations showing to learners are limited in several important ways to ensure that they are relevant. So users will only be shown recommendations for content in the languages that they speak or their selected preferred language. Users will not be showing content if they'd already enrolled or completed that particular course, or if they've accessed it before. And will not show workplaces to a user if they're already part of that workspace, so that you won't see recommendations for workspaces that you're already a member of. The other place that recommendations are shown are within playlists. So very quickly, popping over to my library here. And in my playlists here, we have, if we view it, my playlist, come on playlist. Just loading a little slow. Just to say that the site is hosted in New Zealand, which is why it's taking a little longer. Ordinarily, it wouldn't take so long. So if I click on an item here, this is a particular resource, which is a link to our help desk. There is a tab here which shows your related information. And if there's any related resources, so that contain the same topics or have the same content or similar content, because there's natural language processing across all the resources that the recommendation engine reviews, they'll be added here as related resources or related playlists here within this tab. So the recommendations engine is very powerful. You've got a range of different options here in terms of recommendations and how you use it. And we've done a lot of benchmarking around performance. So even if you have a lot of recommendations and a lot of users across the site, the system is robust enough to configure a huge amount and process a huge amount of data, and it's extremely streamlined. So just very quickly, just to show you the kind of options that you can choose as how that algorithm runs. There is a default Python-based machine learning recommendations engine, but if you have another system that you'd prefer to use, you can do that as well. You can connect the two, so it is highly configurable in that way. Now, this all seems a lot and it is very technical, but the help documentation, which hopefully Matt's probably, well, no, Matt's already put into the chat, is really detailed and will talk you through all the different options and how all of this works. And there's also some technical documentation around the recommendations engines for those of you that are here and listening and want a little bit more of a technical explanation of how the recommendations engine work. They sit within the development docs. Okay, so moving on to the next slide is the Microsoft Teams integration. Now this is a really neat integration. This is a very rich integration, and how it's been created is that if you're using MS Teams, you can add now a Totara app. It's configurable at that Microsoft Teams level. You can add a different icon and play around with the title of it. There's a basic sign in, sign out bot, which allows you to then subscribe to notifications within Microsoft Teams, and allows you to find and access learning and access and create content. So here is what it looks like in real life. There we go. Oop, I'm up here. So this is connected to a slightly different Totara Engage site than what we've been looking at, but this is Microsoft Teams, and you can see from me signing in and out here, I can sign in and start receiving notifications as I like, and I can receive help in terms of how to use this app as well. So this is that the basic bot. Now, I can also go through and jump into the course catalog, so I can find learning and I can find resources, I can find playlists. If I'm using Learn, I can do things like enroll in courses and certifications and programs here, and view and search that catalog that we were just looking at a moment ago. I can also view all of my current learning, so everything that I'm currently enrolled in, which is one course which doesn't look like I've done any work on whatsoever, as well as look at my resources. So this is where you can create and access the content. So this is the site, well, very similar to the site that we've just been looking at, where I can create content and playlists as I like. So it is a very deep, rich integration with Microsoft Teams, and this very much allows that continuous learning and learning in the flow of work with that connection between what you're doing in your discussions and work. And you can also do things like share links to courses and resources and playlists within the Microsoft Teams integration. So if you may be having a discussion with your manager within Teams, and you know, maybe talking about a difficult interaction that you've had with a peer, maybe your manager goes, well, there's actually a really great course on dealing with difficult people, here's a link to it, and you can jump straight from that chat into that learning item, whether it be a course or resource, and without interruption, without having to jump to a separate system to have that kind of bite-sized, just in time learning item. So that is the MS Teams integration. It's far more complex than I've just made it. It is very, very neat. And for those organizations that are using MS Teams, will make that transition to using things like Totara Engage far easier. And again, doesn't require an interruption or a massive change in the working processes and how they access learning. So, I've gone through a lot. I'm looking at the time, and I will start to answer some questions. I just want to let you know that I've gone through everything really fast, and there is a really long list of functionality that is available on Totara Engage. So we've created an overview of all of the features of it and how it works with the core Totara functionality, and you can download and use that PDF as you like. Matt might be kind enough to post a link to that PDF, which sits on our website under resources. Before I jump to questions, just to let you know, of course, that Totara Engage does sit within our the Totara Talent Experience platform, and can be used both independently as well as with combination with one or all of the Totara products. So if you connect it to things like Totara Learn, you've got that complete learning offering with both social and informal and instructor-led informal learning. With Perform, you can help recognise participation, collaboration and engagement, recognise subject matter experts, talent and mentors as part of performance measures. And as the full Talents Experience platform, you've got a full learning, engagement and development suite at your fingertips. And because it's an open framework, Engage can also be used along other applications. So whether it's a non-Totara based learning management system or connecting to your HR system using the HR import tool or having single sign-on, it supports all of those things. So Matt, I know that you've been working very closely with Totara Engage. You've probably covered most of the questions already, but is there anything left for me to cover off today?
Yeah, everyone else can feel free to start throwing some more questions up here now as well, so you get to these. So there's a few questions here, Meredith, especially about the MS Teams application. So the question is there a way to embed live team videos on the actual LMS? Or would you have to run it through the Teams app?
Well, I don't know enough about Microsoft Teams to probably answer that, but what I would imagine is that you could add videos as a resource item. But perhaps I'll ask Sonia, who worked on this platform, is more familiar with Teams, and get back to you on that one and post that in the forums.
Okay, great question here from Tanya. How can we install Totara Engage?
It is a great question. I thought it was going to be longer, so I took a big drink of water. Totara Engage is available through all of our Totara Alliance partners. It is part of the Totara 13 package. So if you're, for example, an existing Totara Learn customer, then you can look at upgrading to Totara 13 and adding a subscription to Totara Engage, and then it will seamlessly integrate with your Totara Learn 13 installation. And each of both Learn and Engage works together, but you have shared services, so you can use your audiences, you can use your reporting. So yeah, talk to your partner who should be able to help you with that.
Okay, another question. So this one's more about sharing content. So can users generate content, and does that require approval before it's published? Is there a way to do that?
So moderation. Users can create content ad hoc. You can look at tweaking the permissions if you don't want them to, but really the whole purpose behind Totara Engage is to support that social learning and that peer-to-peer learning. So you would have to kind of change all the defaults across Totara Engage. In terms of moderation, I think there was a section in one of your courses, Matt, around moderating content, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's possible to moderate all content, and users can flag content as well. So if they see something they think doesn't look right, they can flag it, and that will be reported to the site administrator, and they can then remove that content if it's deemed necessary.
Right. So that's under that inappropriate content report, which you could have on a daily schedule as well. Okay. I think unless there's any burning questions, we can call it a day. It's 48 minutes in. So thank you so much for everyone who has joined us today. I very much appreciate your time. I hope you're as excited about Totara Engage as I am. As I said, if your question wasn't covered today, we'll go through the session today in terms of all the questions and the recording. Not only make that available, but provide responses to anything that I wasn't able to answer today. And finally, a very big thank you to Matt Lineker, who is very much a Totara Engage expert and has probably answered a million questions to save me from doing it at this point and dragging the session out. So thank you so much, Matt. All right. Any further questions you can post in the Q&A. We'll keep the session running for a few more minutes in case you've got some questions. Otherwise, I very much appreciate your time. Thank you so much, everyone.